In Wales, people have a fierce devotion to their community, and the interests of local people have given rise to some of the most valuable public institutions. We need to harness this quality if we're to achieve successful transformation, and we must transform. We have to have the services and outcomes that are valued by the communities, and if those services and outcomes are to survive.
We arranged this shared learning seminar at this particular time because public services are facing major challenges. The current models of public service delivery can't continue as they are. We really need to look at new and different ways of doing things in order to meet the demands and the financial pressures they face. Co-production is an important part of that. There are different ways of doing things that we must adapt to and learn, and this was an opportunity to share experiences of things that have already worked and to begin to spark ideas as to how more people can get involved in co-production.
Something different about this seminar. Barod, who are with us today, are running a whispering service. You may not be familiar with what a whispering service is. I experienced it a few months ago, and it changed how I think about how we run seminars. Essentially, what it does is it translates conference jargon into something everyone else can understand.
We started off offering a translation service. In Wales, we're used to needing to manage Welsh and English working together in meetings. What we wanted to do was to trial a way at this meeting of working together between conference speak and plain, clear, everyday language. There are two benefits. The first was people who didn't need the service started to think about different ways to say things. The main benefit were a couple of people who said they'd been at a meeting yesterday without translation, had felt really shut out, tired, grumpy by the time they left, and today said it was so different they could understand and take part.
We done a thing yesterday where we looked on information which was jargon, and we come up between 16 to 19 words which are jargon.
One of my colleagues at Barod, Alan, ran a workshop where we looked at how we can include or shut people out by the language that we use. If we're going to work together, we need to find a shared language. So we used some fun ways for people to see how they use language at the moment and to think of ways they could change.
The main thrust of the presentation was that we were questioning the fact that it's not just services that need reshaping, it's the people delivering them. There's too much emphasis on bureaucracy, red tape. We're looking backwards all the time, inwards. What we need to do is look outwards at the customer. There's enough resource in the system, it's just spent in the wrong place, bean counting, feeding the beast. But as I say, a lot of people are very comfortable with that. They need to, as I say, reshape the people, look at the attitude. The attitude should be, what can I do that's better for the customer, and not about report writing and all the other things that people are very comfortable with. Now, in terms of how we could possibly do that, is what we have done is we've created a social enterprise where we are able now to make decisions very quickly. We're agile, we focus on the service we are delivering, we're using commercial practices to deliver social outcomes. So we're not endless report writing, we're looking at saying this is about delivering delivering excellent customer service, and the best way to do that is to make quick, agile decisions, being proactive, reacting to the market, rather than taking out all the risk, doing all the things that we unfortunately have to do when I was in the public sector.
Well, I'm going to be talking about user and community co-production of public services and public outcomes. And I suppose my first message is that our citizens are doing more than we realise. Public servants tend to see things from inside their office. They don't know what's happening on the street or what's happening in people's houses. People are doing many things to help themselves and to help others. And we're not making it easy. We're not making the most of it. We're not systematically using what people already do. So we shouldn't really be surprised that they're a little suspicious when we ask them to do more. But actually they could do more. They're doing more than we think. And if we help them, if we did it more systematically, if we helped them to organise what they did, our research would indicate that there's a great deal more that citizens could do to help themselves and to help their family, to help their friends, their neighbours, their street, the neighbourhood that they live in. And most of them would enjoy that, particularly those who feel a little isolated, a little cut off, a little lonely. And we're talking about quite a high percentage of the population in 2014. So I suppose my key message is that we're wide open now to do things differently, but that's going to mean changing the way we think about things and noticing what's really happening out there in the world, not just what's happening in our little bubble in the public sector.
Beacons Creative came about through doing some work around ensuring people had paid careers, and 2 people that were in that workshop asking for paid jobs at Beacons Candles. What it means for the people is that they have a valued role in society, they have paid employment and have paid careers and futures, and stand as equal partners with other people in their lives, really.
The chat service is a dedicated volunteer service for older people and their relatives living in care homes, and is made up of NHS retired professionals. To the older people, I think first of all it's given them an opportunity to have a dedicated friend to speak to about any issues that they want to discuss in the care home, and safe in the knowledge that their voice will be heard and it will make a real difference to other older people. It also gives relatives the opportunity where some of their loved ones aren't able to communicate, that they can speak on their behalf. It's given the nursing homes real insight into what good looks like for older people and their change in practice. And for us as commissioners of care, it's affecting what we need to do locally to make sure that experience is right for the older person.
The main purpose of my presentation was to talk about how we need to think differently about how we design and manage public services. Now, that's spoken about quite often, but not often are we talking about what different thinking looks like. So I helped the delegates understand there's 3 elements they need to think about. Firstly is not all work through the door is work to be done. If people are coming back more than once, we need to ask why. Very, very prevalent in social care environments. If we haven't understood what matters to people and help them achieve it, they tend to come back. Another element is we need to standardise and specialise. That's a current paradigm that people think about. Actually, that causes enormous problems. An example being one lady we were working with learning disabilities. Her mother described it as, "You've known my daughter since she was 0, she's now 18. Every time you come through the door is as if you've never met her before." And that transpired. She had 13 different specialists working with her. Actually, what she wanted to do was just talk about what mattered to her, what a good life looked like. And the third element is that we need to provide services for people. In actual fact, people have enormous resilience themselves, communities have resilience, and loads of social capital that we can use ourselves.
I think the one key message that I'd like delegates to take away is a call to action. We need to move now. Doing nothing is potentially irresponsible. The status quo is not an option. So let's have a really good discussion around the options and be bold and brave and move forward positively.